Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Well, it started with her parents. Her mother, a South Asian scientist, and her father, a black economist. They took her to civil rights marches and inspired her to pursue her dreams. After her parents divorced, she and her sister were raised by her mother with the help of friends and neighbors, attending Sunday school at the 23rd Avenue Church.
We grew up in this wonderful, loving, supportive environment.
My mother was very well aware that she was raising two black girls to be two black women.
Her mother saved up for 10 years to buy their first home and shared with Kamala the words and wisdom that remain her North Star to this day.
Be a fighter for things that matter, and don't be limited by what has always been.
And then came a moment that changed Kamala Harris's destiny, that lit the fire within.
When I was in high school, I had a best friend who I learned was being molested by her father.
This particular day, she was like, hey, you really, really are not yourself. There's something going on.
I said to her as soon as she told me, well, you have to come stay with us.
As you get older, you really, really reflect on how pivotal that intervention was at that crucial point in my life.
A big part of the reason I wanted to be a prosecutor was to protect people like her.
And on her first day in court, she rose from her chair at the prosecutor's desk and said, Kamala Harris for the people. As a prosecutor, she put violent criminals and sexual predators in prison, leading to the highest conviction rate for serious and violent crime in 15 years, and created Back on Track, a program for first-time low-level drug offenders that became a national model.
About, yeah, you did commit a crime, accept it, own up to it, and then let's talk about what we can do to change the circumstances going forward.
Lowering recidivism rates for nonviolent offenders from 54% to 10%, giving people the training they needed to find a job after their sentence.
I remember being so struck by having a district attorney who cared both about justice, about safety and accountability, but figuring out how to stop that crime from happening again.
As California's Attorney General, she targeted transnational gangs and drug cartels, seized 10,000 kilos of cocaine and 12,000 pounds of methamphetamine, went after drug traffickers, and took 12,000 illegal guns off the streets.
The new foreclosure crisis threatens to freeze up.
She took on the nation's 5 largest mortgage banks that were stealing from homeowners.
Prosecutors claim they've duped desperate homeowners into paying thousands of dollars to get them out of foreclosure.
She played hardball and delivered a landmark $20 billion settlement.
This represents one of the largest dollar amounts to come to California.
And in 2016, the people of California sent her to represent them in Washington, D.C. In the Senate, she earned a reputation for taking on the tough fights on the Judiciary and Intelligence Committees.
Kamala hit the ground running. She came in with confidence. She was always respectful, but she would not let a witness off easily.
I wouldn't.
Yes or no?
And if an argument didn't hold water, she could spot that flaw and get at it.
I do want you to be honest.
I'm not able to be rushed this fast. It makes me nervous.
And when Joe Biden went looking for his vice president,
I wanted someone who was strong and who was ready to be president on day one.
as vice president, she worked to cap insulin costs for seniors at $35, to replace lead pipes and provide clean water for communities, and she helped create 16 million jobs.
The Biden-Harris bipartisan infrastructure bill has already created thousands of jobs for our members. That is what the future looks like under a president, Kamala Harris.
She fought to reduce the trauma of gun violence that has devastated our nation.
How many of you guys, as college students, had to have a drill during high school or middle school or elementary school where you learned about how you need to hide in a closet or crouch in a corner in the event that there is a mass shooter roaming the hallways of your school? Look at that. Look at that.
And she did more than talk the talk. She walked the walk, helping pass the first bipartisan legislation in 30 years to curb gun violence.
So one thing I learned about working with Vice President Harris is she always stand on business.
She has traveled the world to strengthen our national security and restore our global leadership, meeting with more than 150 heads of state. She stood shoulder to shoulder with our allies and stood up to dictators, helping to unite NATO behind Ukraine and impose punishing costs on Russia. She's led the fight for reproductive freedom.
We have worked too hard and fought too long to see our daughters grow up in a world with fewer rights than our mothers.
The first vice president to visit an abortion clinic, she built a nationwide grassroots movement to ensure that access to abortion, IVF, and birth control will always be protected. In the halls of power, she's a tough prosecutor, an effective policymaker, a powerful leader. And at home, she's the center of her family.
I'm not giving up.
She's the best godmother, auntie. She's honest, she's loving, incredibly reliable. She's one of the most loyal people you'll ever meet.
That is why I believe she is so prepared to be our next president. This love she has for her family, being there for all of us, that's how she will lead this country, being there for everyone.
She's a proud graduate of Harvard University. Her campaign is a force of nature, generating the excitement we've all been yearning for.
A campaign of joy, of love, of care.
I am so fundamentally inspired. Kamala Harris will be our next president because you know there's too much on the line to stay on the sidelines.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Thank you for bringing back the joy.
Sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't. And then you need to kick that door down. We are not going back.
She's a protector, a strong voice for common sense, a leader for tomorrow, committed to healing our country, dedicated to doing the hard work to make us stronger.
I now declare you spouses for life.
Someone who truly understands the struggles of everyday Americans, forged by the challenges of the past, ready for any challenge that may arise. Now is the time, America. The joy is back, the pride is back, the hope is back. She's doing the work. She's fighting for us. She's the new way forward, our way forward. She is the next president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris.
Randy at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Donald Trump is an unserious man.
Kamala's been black a lot longer than Trump's been a Republican.
Unlike Donald Trump, our patriotism is more than some damn slogan on a hat.
I know a couch commando when I see one. If you don't know FUBAR, Google it.
That woman from Michigan as an insult.
I am so impressed with how large this AI-generated crowd looks.
It's in the bag with the diapers.
Everybody over here, say comma.
We are not going back.
Everybody over here, say la.
She said puede. Together. I accept your nomination to be president of the United States. Never do anything half-assed.
What an extraordinary month this has been, right? It's extraordinary. Like an entire change in the nation, and the whole freaking nation, from sea to shining freaking sea. God, this convention was it was modern, you know what I mean? It was commanding, it was modern, it was unifying, it was patriotic, it was optimistic, it was fun. It was issue-oriented, and it was uplifting. It was, I mean, it's like joy, joy, joy comes in the morning. Wow, just, oh, my God. It's exactly what we needed, and the amount of Easter eggs, the trolling that went on, oh, it's so good. I have a list. I have a really, really long list, and every single day you keep adding to it, because I'm telling you right now, this thing, they think, I was reading the right-wing, crap. The National Review, these are the elite right-wing crappers. And they were saying, did they run out of celebrities? No, they did not. We're not done. They really have a huge problem in that, like the only people that Donald Trump can attract are greasy white rappers that nobody can't even remember their names, because, it's like 100 years ago that they had a song and Lee Greenwood's, vocal cords are shot, kind of a thing. But I mean, we're not done. We're not done. This was just the beginning of getting to know Kamala, getting to know Walz, getting to know their families, getting to know that's all it, and her position on, various issues that we care about. So, I mean, I wish we could vote today. Don't you? I wish we could vote tomorrow. I mean, the polls right now, remember going into this thing, I said, get ready for a bounce. It hasn't happened. Well, I don't want to put it that way. We haven't gotten polling yet that reflects the DNC, that reflects the convention. But that convention was so freaking magical and so much freaking fun and so uplifting and so modern and so forward-looking, so futuristic. It was magical, the whole thing. Every part of it was just incredibly good. The speakers, the speeches, the things people said. Kerry Washington last night, I mean, you talk about a celebrity. Kerry Washington last night was just so much fun to watch with the little kids, Kamala Harris's grandnieces. It's just such a fun thing, right? And then D.H. Hughley and, the comedy, the music was insanely good. Even Stevie Wonder sounded good. And I was like, that wasn't last night. It was the night before, I think. And I was like, please don't sing. Please don't sing. You'll forgive me. But he did, and it was okay. But I just wish we could vote today. But we haven't gotten any polling post-convention. The polling I saw today, and I understand this is not how we pick our president, and I will be the first person to tell you national polls don't choose the president. If they did, Hillary Clinton would have been the president. Admittedly, we would never have known how terrible the Republican Party has gotten. Admittedly, we would never have known what the alternative actually felt like, how dark it was, and how full of crap it was, and how it was stealing from us, and that it was chaotic so that it could steal from us $2 trillion. That was just the beginning. I mean, that was just the beginning of the thievery, right? But we would never have known. Had we actually had a system of self-governance that actually says that the popular vote chooses our president, which we don't. which we don't, then we would never, ever, ever have believed in our wildest dreams what a Trump presidency would look like. Never. We would never believe that this country could watch mass graves being dug, could watch a president bumper and stammer and stutter and not have any clue what to do in a national emergency to the extent that Donald Trump did not know what to do, okay? We would never have been able to imagine a president who went to Puerto Rico after a massive hurricane, Maria, and throw paper towels at people and they would still want to vote for him. We would never, ever have believed any of that was possible in this here country because we would never have known how low we went, how the Republican Party has sunk, how it is the spit on the belly of a snake. And he told you that. He told you that, tender woman. Let me in, let me in. He told you that he was a snake. He kept on telling you that he was a snake, but nobody would have believed it if we had not lived through it. And so in that weird way, I'm sort of, I don't want to say glad, because how could you be glad for what we've been through? How could you be happy about 1 million dead human beings in this country due to neglect? How could you be happy about inflation? How could you be happy about supply chains being just totally broken and empty store shelves and running around with masks on our face for months, okay? I mean, oh God, I can't be happy about that. I will never be happy about that. But I do learn lessons from failure, because that's what very smart people do with failure. You can't let it not be a learning moment, as Oprah would say, a teaching moment. Okay, so we know that now, right? We know that. And when you see what dignified leadership, qualified people, I just knew last night during that speech of hers, I just knew that I was looking at the next president of the United States. I just knew that. And I just can't believe that, there aren't people in swing states who were, let's say, undecided that said, yeah, I felt that too. But I will tell you the last national poll, the one that I saw today, there are 2 of them, have her 8 points ahead of Donald Trump nationally. Nationally. You know, I wish we had that system, but we don't. We don't. We have an electoral college. You have to get to 270, and you have to do it state by state. We actually have to keep Michigan. We have to keep Wisconsin. You know, we're at the point where there are many, many paths, though, to 270 for us, with Kamala Harris and Walz as our candidates. And that's a nice place to be. It's not the best place to be. The best place to be would be ahead in every swing state, including Pennsylvania, including North Carolina, including Georgia. And no, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So I can't wait to see the bump. It'll happen in about a week, I think. Okay?
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty good about the way this all went. I thought her speech last night was unbelievable. It was crisp. It was tight. It was 37 minutes. But, you know, the crazy, creepy guy that, wants to be president of the United States, do you know what he was doing? I just need to tell you, because it's so unhinged. It's so bizarre. It's so strange. It's so unbelievably unacceptable in a president, okay? Oh God. So her speech was exactly 37 minutes. Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, that dumpster fire of a platform that he has, 40 times. 40 times in 37 minutes. All in caps, lying about rape is, up 56%, or just making crap up and just putting it out there like some unhinged douche sitting in mommy or daddy's basement, okay? That's how ridiculous what he was saying was, and he kept on doing it, and he kept on doing it, but that's not the end. That's not the end. Then he dialed into Fox News, who took his call, and then they realized he was crazy, even crazier than normal, And they said, well, thanks for calling, Mr. I think they called him Mr. President. Oh, my God. Thanks for calling, but, we really do have to go to a break. They dumped him. Got out of it. Guess what he did? Guess what the idiot did? Guess what the nutbag did? He called Newsmax. Swear to God, he's dialing around for attention. He calls Newsmax, and he gets on their air. And he starts calling her a Marxist and a communist. I mean, pick one, but he doesn't know the difference and starts lying there. They dump him. And then he calls Fox again after they change shows. And he calls into Gutfield's show. This guy, how does he have a TV show? I mean, really, is there any accounting in media for talent? I say no. And they call him. And he, Gutfield's in front of a live audience. So he's like, feeling the pressure from his audience to entertain them. And and Trump's on the phone and he goes, say hello to the live audience. He goes, I'm not really worried about her. She's a Marxist. What the? And this is a guy who is only 8 points behind Kamala Harris. This is where we are in this nation. And you would never have believed me if you didn't live through it yourself. You would never believe anything I would tell you about how bad it would be if Donald Trump became president. When I was telling it to you, when Hillary was telling it to you, back then, no one believed us. No one did. They thought he was a brilliant, genius businessman. The true thing is his dad bailed him out over and over again. His dad left him money. His dad bailed him out in Atlantic City. I mean, his dad was, a builder. Donald Trump was a con man. He was somebody that slapped his name on everything and sold a brand. He didn't build, he branded. I mean, it's just, anyway. I'm so tired of him. After watching that last night, I got to say, Howard Howard's on Truth Social. I will never. And he was reading me Donald Trump's, posts. And I'm like, please, Howard, let me enjoy this. Please. I really did. I literally put my hand on my little hip there. I stood there and I said to him, please let me enjoy this. Do not read me anything he's writing. Let me enjoy this. And he realized I was serious. I wasn't teasing. I wasn't kidding. I wasn't being funny. I was serious. I wanted to hear her. I wanted to give her my attention completely. I wanted to see and understand and feel how good it was going to feel to listen to somebody who is competent, who is capable, who is compassionate, who's empathetic, who is skilled, who's a lawyer, who's a prosecutor, who understands what we go through, who's middle class, who grew up in a place where you had your little square of lawn, but you tended to it. And I loved it. I freaking loved it. It was a fleeting moment. And we have to hang on to that and make that last for 74 days? Something like this we have. I'm serious. And honestly, today, right before the show started, their cameras in the media are pointed at Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's standing in Phoenix on a bare stage telling you, that he's, very upset that the Democratic Party is a rigged party. Again, talking in, Trumpisms, because this is now the way you lose in America, okay? You have to be a sore loser in America. You can't be a magnanimous, a person who, like a sportsman. You can't be a good sport. That's just frowned on now. And so you have to repeat lies, and you have to insist that the only reason why you lost isn't because you weren't fast enough or good enough or, your policies weren't appealing enough or you weren't appealing enough. No, it was because somebody rigged it against you. Somebody stole something from you. Somebody did something bad, something untoward, something illegal. And that's why you're not a contender. That's why. Has nothing to do with your unpopular positions or the fact that you were lying. You were lying to get on ballots. He gave this whole song into the Dog and Pony Show. RFK Jr. did just now, where he said that the DNC was rigging it and challenging him, erroneously challenging him. Let me tell you what he's talking about real quick, okay? He wanted to get on the ballot in New York. He claimed he was a New Yorker. Does anybody? I'm a New Yorker. I don't think he's a New Yorker. Okay, he's not a New Yorker. He lives in California and has for a really long time with Cheryl Hines. I think we all know that. But he lied. And the New York, supervisors of election, they said he's lying. We can't. He doesn't live here. He's not a resident. What does he claim? I mean, this is like a fraudulent application, and that's what happened to him. And then the people that challenged him in New York, they challenged him other places because they knew he was being less than forthcoming as he was asking to be put on ballots. And he didn't get on enough ballots to get 270, okay? He wasn't viable. That's just the long and short of it. And as soon as Kamala Harris announced for president, his 9% advantage, he had like a 9% approval rating, like 9% of the population was going to vote for him. Well, as soon as she announced that she was going to be the Democratic candidate, as soon as Biden said, I'm out, and the Democratic Party has made its choice. It wants Kamala Harris. There's no delegates that really don't, that aren't going to vote for her, except for like a handful of uncommitted. And she's got the number she needs to be the nominee, and that's the way it's going to be because they virtually voted and nominated her weeks ago. As soon as that happened, RFK Jr. went to like 4% of the vote that he could get, 4%. And then he started calling people to try and better deal them. Like, Donald Trump, what can you offer me and I'll endorse you? And he wants a cabinet position. I guess Donald Trump gave it to him. We'll never know because Donald Trump isn't going to win. But then on the other side, he called Kamala, and what are you going to give me? She never returned his call. Good for her. That's called character.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
I'm harmonizing with Duffy. All right, Elgin in New York.
Yes, hi, Randi.
Hello.
I hope you can. Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
I hope you can answer this question because it was peculiar to me when I heard it, when I saw it, when they were doing the roll call, the nomination. When it came up to California, they withheld doing that. And I noticed they didn't do that to Tim Walz. So can you explain why that was done?
Yes. Whenever you have a nominee, their home state is going to go last so that they can actually have the joy of nominating that person, of closing the deal. So California passed, and then they went at the end.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, because the reason why I'm asking is I saw
and you know what was wrong with that, don't you? I mean, I you probably didn't see it, and that's why you're confused about it. But, when the DJ, who really sucked, I would have been a better DJ, okay? But the DJ who, was playing, I guess it was Kendrick Lamar, didn't pot it down so that when Gavin Newsom was actually casting like the 4,892 votes that California has for Kamala Harris, the music was like so loud and it was throwing him off. It was really, if it was going to be Gavin Newsom, they should have played Sussudio. Just saying.
Okay.
Yeah, because he looks exactly like American Psycho. Just saying. But yeah, that's why. So the state that the candidate is from goes last so that they can put the nominee over the top and have the joy of closing the deal. Andrew in Oklahoma City.
Hi, Randi. Fantastic show as always. The one thing that I wanted to kind of put a microscope on was the stories that were the upbringing of like Kamala and Michelle, and how these single, strong women really forged such a great set of values and ethics into them, of caring, of honesty. And all of a sudden that just hit me. What kind of rancid, terrible, twisted little ripoff was Trump's daddy to instill the most horrible values in him, to lie, cheat the government, cheat your tenants, cheat your neighbor, lie, lie, lie. You know Daddy helped craft that rotten little
boy.
It had to happen.
Yeah, it did happen. It absolutely did happen. His dad was a terrible person, and his dad went into his casino, to his son's casino, when he realized his son was losing all the money, and bought a $3 million chip on the illegally, to try and prop his son back up. And he taught his son over and over again that losing is for losers, and winners cheat. And if you don't cheat, you're not going to win. And don't be a good loser. That's for schmucks.
Yeah, some of the people that have looked into Trump's history have said that the father was putting money in bank accounts for his kids so he could write it off as taxes as gifts.
Well, yeah.
So, by the time he was 9 or 10, he was already a millionaire.
Right. Trump is not a self-made man. And you know what? Trump knows that. He knows that. He knows.
Oh, absolutely.
He knows he's not smart. He knows he's not, a good person. Listen, you look at what the Democratic National Convention elevated, okay? It elevated a patriotic, optimistic, fun politics that was full of family. Now, I guess, Melania was paid to do one night for him or something, because she only showed up on the last night. She didn't give a speech. She didn't vouch for him. She didn't look lovingly at him. She didn't say what a great, father he is to Barron. She didn't, say that he's a great family man and his children love him. She just showed up on the one last night because he must have told her that, he would cut her off or he would do something bad. I don't know. Maybe and his daughter only showed up on the last night. And then you look at the kinds of families that were all around the Democrats. Just look at the blended family that Kamala has. Look at the family that, Tim Walz has.
Yeah, the contrast couldn't have been more stark, because I did try and sit through with a vomit bag next to me, the RNC. I watched a few nights of their deal just because I like to take in the mental perspective of these brain broke people.
Yeah.
And I was just amazed at the lack of color, the lack of diversity. It was almost all male. Everybody was just dripping in red, white, and blue. And let me say this, and you tell me if I'm wrong. When they were watching the DNC, when the DNC crowd, the convention, started chanting USA, it really got under their skin, because that's their chant.
That's what I'm saying. They were trolling them.
Oh, my God.
There was so many Easter eggs. There was so much going on that we actually, were mocking them, but taking stuff back from them that they don't deserve. They don't deserve the flag. They don't deserve patriotism. They are people who
That's right.
They steal valor. They steal it. They take it from others whenever they can. They take it for themselves. They're so disgusting. They're such bottom feeders. And Kamala was having none of it. She was like, we're going to take back patriotism. We're going to take back optimism. We're going to take back, religion. Religion. Did you see how many people went up there and quoted scripture? Did you hear? It was just so smart, and it was so heartfelt, and that people were disgusted already that they are on that side where they are lying, where they're treating others like garbage, where they're they made fun of Tim Walz's son. They made fun of him. It was a beautiful, beautiful moment. And the right wing, they trashed him. The right wing, they told you the only legitimate family is a mother and a father, and the father works, the mother stays home. Other than that, there is no legitimate family. Buttigieg's family isn't a legit family. Single mothers aren't legit family. You think about single mothers, okay? Kamala Harris had a single mother. Bill Clinton had a single mother. The amount of great kids that came out of single mothers in the Democratic Party who are proud to tell you that they were raised by single mothers, are proud to tell you the values that their moms instilled in them, that work ethic that was instilled in them, the community that it took to raise them, okay, because they had single mothers. I mean, the Republican Party is so, it's tainted by its own claims of being better. Brother David.
And she gave the performance of her life, and it was a night to remember that night.
It was history.
I was also a single mother, and my mother was very much omnipresent around me. Last night, literally, she became Madam President in front of our eyes.
She did.
And
people want to denigrate it. They want to go back 5 years ago.
Right.
And say she wasn't ready 5 years ago. Right. That's true.
Here's the thing. It really was the Love is All Around convention and the Love is All Around ticket. My dear friend, former colleague at the Times, Charles McNulty, their theater critic, was watching it all week, and he said, this is the apotheosis of pandemic theater at its best.
This is what? This is what?
The apotheosis of post-pandemic theater at its best.
What's an apotheosis?
It reaches the biggest thing it can make. The apotheosis of something is when it, from all four nights, killed in the ratings, and we don't even know what the streaming, services said against the Milwaukee convention. From the beginning, and Hillary calling for the future is here, and then 1, 2, 3, that boom, boom, boom of young women rising in the party. The governors, the Republicans, obviously the first gentleman to be the greatest first lady since Eleanor in 44, the Oprah, et cetera, but it all led up to that moment. And she who can turn the world on with her smile is going to turn the country on without guile. I'm starting to cry just thinking about it. I've watched her speech 3 times now since last night.
See, and that's what I'm going to suggest to people. I'm going to rewatch it. It was only 37 minutes. It's really not, a big lift, heavy lift. But I suggest that we watch it at least once a week for the next 6 or 7 weeks leading. Yeah, because, if you can watch that, and then I don't know if anybody's going to watch the 93 minutes of grievances that represented, the Festivus that they had in Milwaukee. But there's no comparison. But watch her speech every week for the next few weeks.
Precisely.
And
stunning stilettos, perfect pearls, snazzy sneakers, and gorgeous girdles for everyone.
And not just a few.
Love you always.
Love you more. So that's probably the best advice about what to do with the DNC is to watch, I don't know, your favorite people, but definitely watch Kamala's 37-minute speech once a week until November 5th.
Clear for takeoff.
Mary had a little man.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
As a prosecutor, when I had a case, I charged it not in the name of the victim, but in the name of the people. For a simple reason. In our system of justice, a harm against any one of us is a harm against all of us. And I would often explain this to console survivors of crime, to remind them no one should be made to fight alone. We are all in this together. And every day in the courtroom, I stood proudly before a judge and I said 5 words: Kamala Harris for the people. And to be clear, my entire career, I've only had one client, the people.
Wow.
And so, on behalf of the people, on behalf of every American, regardless of party, race, gender, or the language your grandmother speaks, on behalf of my mother and everyone who has ever set out on their own unlikely journey, on behalf of Americans like the people I grew up with, people who work hard, chase their dreams, and look out for one another, on behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth, I accept your nomination to be President of the United States of America. Woo!
And the crowd went wild. It was such a good speech because she was able to tell you why she chose law, why she chose the type of law she chose. That being a prosecutor and charging in the name of the people and standing up for the people was a very present decision that she made each time she would prosecute a case. And that she did it because the only client she felt she ever had was the people. And then in the speech itself, and she goes through a whole bunch of, like this election and what the choices are in the future, and we're not going back. And then she ties it back to Idiot Boy and says, and the only client he's ever had is himself. And there is the stark difference. There is the choice between a guy who advocates for himself, for his own enrichment, for his own benefit, for his own ego, and somebody who has only ever toiled and worked. Do you know what litigation is? It's mind-blowing amounts of paperwork. That's just the physicality of it. The intellectual portion is smarts. The intellectual portion is obviously knowing the law, knowing the statutes, what could apply, what the elements that are needed to be present in order to charge a certain statute, right? We learned that the hard way because we had a criminal as president of the United States, and so everybody became sort of kind of familiar with what the elements are to charge obstruction or to charge insurrection or to charge treason, right? What elements need to be met in order to make that charge, right? And so there's that, okay? There's the intellectual heft, the weight of knowing the law, knowing the statutes, knowing the ins and outs, and knowing what you have, what you can prove, what is, evidence, and what could be admitted, what the rules of evidence are, what elements you have to actually meet in order to put a piece of DNA into evidence in front of a jury, in order to validate the chain of custody of a gun. Okay? There's an enormous amount of intellect that is required. Because, though, it is so cumbersome to charge anything of anybody because we have a presumption of innocence, yay. The amount of paperwork, the amount of reading and writing and crafting an argument is so, and she only ever did it for you. She only ever did it for me. She only ever did it for the people. This is a rare, beautiful quality about this matchup, that you do have somebody who only ever represented the people in her entire career with an extraordinary amount of work that is knowable that was done on our behalf, versus a guy who only ever sees a path to making some sort of a beneficial to him transaction. How could anybody choose somebody that's only in it for themselves? I really, I don't know, somebody's going to have to enlighten me about why this is even a thing, why this is even a choice. I mean, I truly believe in my gut that it's going to be a blowout. They keep on, reminding us that this is a very closely divided nation. I agree that people argue all the time. I agree that people don't read papers. I agree that people don't educate themselves about who she is and what she can bring to the table and what she offers. I guarantee you that people who were watching last night, which is fine, it was the first time they ever even knew she was the prosecutor. It was the first time they ever knew that, what her background was. It's the first time they ever heard her policy position on Gaza. It's the first time they ever heard her policy positions on Roe. Okay, I guess they understood that she was a woman and, that Roe was something she would fight for. But I don't think they understood even that the border bill, okay, they might think that Donald Trump is somewhere along the line spewing out a morsel of truth. No, she was never a border czar. That's not anything we have. And if we did, she'd be the czarina. Just saying. Latin being, a feminine masculine language where, it matters. Our articles have to agree. But that said, she was not. She was deployed to Central America to find the root causes of people fleeing the Northern Triangle in Central America, El Salvador, Honduras. Okay? And when she was deployed, and when they realized what the issues were, Kamala Harris got private enterprise, not our tax dollars, private enterprise to commit to $5.2 billion invested in these 3 Northern Triangle countries. And when that happened, illegal immigration from those Northern Triangle Central American countries, where we were seeing extraordinary amounts of people fleeing, was more than halved. I mean, it was like 75% of the illegal immigration from those 3 countries stopped. And then you had immigration coming from Venezuela because their government went way corrupt, all dictatorial, all autocratic, right? And so people were fleeing Venezuela, and that's where but she was not in charge of the border. She was in charge of solving.
Thanks, Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
After decades in law enforcement, I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border. Last year, Joe and I brought together Democrats and conservative Republicans to write the strongest border bill in decades. The Border Patrol endorsed it. But Donald Trump believes a border deal would hurt his campaign. So he ordered his allies in Congress to kill the deal. Well, I refuse to play politics with our security, and here is my pledge to you. As president, I will bring back the bipartisan border security bill that he killed, and I will sign it into law. I know we can live up to our proud heritage as a nation of immigrants and reform our broken immigration system. We can create an earned pathway to citizenship and secure our border.
And now, when you hear her talking about immigrant families and, what contributions immigrant families make to America, now that you know that her mother came here from India at 19 years old trying to make herself, and did make herself, into a cancer research scientist with a goal of ending breast cancer forever. And her father, an economist from Jamaica, were both immigrants. Both immigrants. And when you now know her background and you hear her advocating for the contributions that immigrant families make, now it's real. Now it's something that is worth fighting for. Is she telling the truth about the border bill? Is she telling the truth that Donald Trump, asked for it to be killed? Because, Donald Trump is, phoning anybody that will listen to him now, which is becoming a lesser and lesser number as the days roll on. But James Langford was on Fox News with, I forget his name. And he was asking him, is it true? Is it true that Donald Trump called the Republicans and said, this is, I can't have this. I need the issue. I don't want the solution.
I know you're not trying to zing your colleagues, but it's your colleagues in your party, sir, who torpedoed this, who didn't get the facts right on what you just outlined was in that measure. They killed it. Ironically, not Democrats.
Right.
Right.
It was, and it was painful to be able to watch it. It got stirred up in all the presidential politics, and several of my colleagues started looking for ways. After President Trump said, don't fix anything during the presidential election, it's the single biggest issue during the election, don't resolve this, we'll resolve it next year. Quite a few of my colleagues backed up, looked for a reason to be able to shoot against it, and then walked away. I get that. That's a decision everybody makes in it. My issue is if we're pursuing everything, we very often end up with nothing. If we're pursuing someone coming later to fix it, later seems to never come. When we have a moment to fix things, we should fix as many things as we can then come back later and fix the rest.
That's on Donald Trump, Senator.
That, again, he's got an office that he's running for. He's got a campaign that he's running. I'm already in office. I've got a responsibility to be able to carry on this.
Transactional. What benefits him? Not national security, not safety. And then they're going to trot out, they did at the Republican convention, they're going to trot out these, poor forlorn women who have lost somebody to violence committed by an immigrant, which is, far less likely than being, the victim of a crime in America by virtue of an American shooting you, an American killing you, an American being a mass shooter, a mass killer, Las Vegas, schools, churches, But they're going to trot out these poor, confused parents. And yet, when the bill was written and there was a solution, and normally Democrats will argue about immigration border bills, saying that if you want border security, you're going to have to trade us or include our ask. And our ask is going to be protect the DACA kids who came here through no fault of their own as young children and have followed all the laws of this nation, have never gotten in trouble, remained in school, get, all the way through it, go to college, get jobs, never jaywalk, never get a parking ticket, nothing. Can't we just include that? This particular bill, this particular Republican bill had nothing in it for people, for immigrants. It had only border security in it. It only had money for more asylum officers, for more detention beds, for more technology at the border to catch the fentanyl that was, being stuffed into car wheel wells and trunks and, flatbed trucks and stuff like, well, I shouldn't say flatbeds, but container trucks, 18-wheelers. And Donald Trump called them and said, I can't have this because this will actually solve the problem. I need the issue. And they did it because they understand that this is the only choice on the Republican side. This is it. This is where they made their bed, and now they have to lie in that mung. They have to lie in the mess. It's so gross, but that is what they have to do. And so the only thing they have is unity, right? The only thing they're willing to do is, go with him on whatever he wants because he says he needs it to win. And that's why they did it. But the lying, I never asked them to kill it. do you think that there will ever be a day where, it's like that Jim Carrey movie, Liar Liar, where, you ever see that movie? It's really adorable, where the little kid, Jim Carrey plays a lawyer, and his son never really sees him, and his father is constantly lying about that to the little boy and to his mother. And so he makes a birthday wish, and he wishes that his dad couldn't tell a lie. I mean, that only happens in movies. It will never happen with Donald Trump. He will never, ever be able to go without telling a lie, not even 24 hours. It's just, he can't. He can't, because his whole persona is a lie. Everything about him is false. Everything, including the color of his skin. Tommy in Florida.
Oh, my God, Randi Rhodes.
Uh-oh, we have like a minute.
That's not enough time for you and me.
Why?
We need more time.
What do we need?
Do you remember when I called you right after Kerry lost in 2004 from Jersey?
No.
You and I both are New Yorkers.
No.
I was all behind Bobby Kennedy.
It's 20 years ago.
I know. Listen, I've tried to call you the last year and a half on my phone, and I can't. Now I got you off my computer, and I called. I just want to make sense of what I'm doing here. You got to help me.
All right, hold on. 20 years, do I remember? That's not right. That's not right. You make me feel bad. I don't even have a visual, to like lock in and go, oh, I remember that. No, I get nothing.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
For those of you who couldn't heard it, how do we respond to Democrats who say that they tried to pass a border security bill? My response, ma'am, is I was there in the Senate when they tried to pass that border security bill, and it had nothing to do with border security.
He's such a freaking liar. It was all about border security. It wasn't about any other thing, okay? Anyway. All right, Tommy, go ahead.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
20 years ago.
I don't remember.
I remember you, and you don't remember me. It's all good. Actually, I think I've called you a couple times in between. So I'm not that loyal. I apologize. But every time I listen to you, I learn. And I just got done listening to the 48-minute speech that Bobby gave where he's done. And thankfully, you were.
Oh, no.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I so she's live. So.
Okay,
you're dialing my phone. I'm dialing my phone.
Yeah. What is it that you need
anyway,
help with?
Tell me what we're doing here. I mean,
what do you mean?
I'm very disappointed that he's going, in with Trump. But
were you going to vote for him? Wait a minute.
100%.
Oh, you were voting
for Bobby?
You were voting for RFK
Bobby
Jr.
Yeah, 100%.
Because vaccines cause autism.
No, 100% not. See, that is the knee jerk. Everyone says.
I worked with him. You remember? You said you remember 2004.
I do remember. And I want to go back to that.
Do you remember him calling my show? And I was thinking that it was thimerosal or some preservative in vaccines that may, be. And he said, "Oh no, it's the vaccines themselves." He literally proactively called me to tell me it's the vaccines that are bad. And now, really, honestly, and you were going to vote. You were going to vote for him. Why were you going to vote for him?
Wait.
What was it about him that made you like him?
There's 100 reasons, not the least of which he's sober 41 years, as I am, so we speak the exact same language, okay?
Wait a minute. You were going to vote for him because he kicked heroin?
No, because he's a spiritually fit man and he's sober and he's living a life of goodness for others.
He is not spiritually fit. He is not. Okay? He's not.
Right.
He is disingenuous. He is self-serving. He was 20 weeks he's been negotiating with Donald Trump for a cabinet position in exchange for his endorsement. What is not backroom deal, smoke-filled room about that?
Well, I don't think that's actually
That's
true.
actually true. I don't say things
All
that
right,
aren't
so
actually
Randy,
true.
listen, I don't want to fight with you.
Okay, so tell me, what can I help you with? You just called me up and said, what are we going to do? About what?
So about the fact that he's been completely kept off the airwaves, live interviews. This is the first live stream. He's gone 45 minutes on Fox, and that's it in a year and a half.
He was on CNN
and
MSNBC too.
And he had a commercial during the Super Bowl, didn't he?
He wasn't live on MSNBC.
Yes, he was. And CNN too, except that after he started saying that the election is rigged and that Biden was cooed, they broke away from him with an explanation to the audience that they cannot allow false and fake information to be broadcast. And so they cut him off. And then MSNBC actually brought in an election person to tell you why he wasn't allowed on the New York ballot, and it was because he lied.
I'm sure that was a bona fide true statement from
yes,
the
it was.
MSNBC.
It was a New York Times reporter who actually read the application and said that he had represented
New York Times reporter.
The one that broke the Donald Trump tax story, what's her name, Craig, okay, who is totally credible, said that when he was applying to be on the ballot in New York, he indicated that he lived in New York. And you and
He's lived and voted in New York and licensed in New York. His law practices in New York. That is all real and true.
No, it isn't. He lives in California. Okay, he
I know
practices
where he lives.
in California. He is not a resident of New York, and he lied. And that's why they didn't let him on the ballot in New York.
No.
Yeah.
Well, Randy,
So what can I help you
with?
with? Nothing. Because you're lying. See, this is like 20 years ago I called you, and, no, you didn't.
I hadn't actually considered that RFK voters are in their own little bubble of anti-reality.
The guy was a liar, Brett. He's a liar, okay? He's a Fox News devotee, okay?
Oh, you think so, huh?
He said so. He said it's the only thing he watched. D in Boston.
Hey!
Oh, my God. Don't do that.
Pardon?
You just screamed. I'm wearing headphones.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. All right. So I want to talk about DJ Cassidy. And you know what? I know that I'm not going to say that you wouldn't be the best DJ, but come on. I'm from Boston, Mass. Shipping Up to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys was an amazing song.
He did not pick it.
Like Tennessee.
He did not pick these songs. The states picked the songs. He just played them, and he played them badly. Okay, and also he has no rhythm. The boy cannot dance. Okay, this whole.
Oh my God!
I would have been such a better DJ. And the idea that he picked these songs, no, he didn't pick these songs. States were asked what songs they wanted. Some of them were weird choices. Some of them were very strange. But the states were asked what songs do they want played to represent their delegation. He did not pick them. And when Newsom got up to seal the deal, it should have been a climactic moment in the roll call dance party that we were having. And instead of potting it down, Mr. DJ extraordinaire never learned how to run a board and had the freaking volume up so high that Gavin Newsom couldn't even hear himself think. A lot of people were saying, I can't hear. I heard it from delegation to delegation. I am not defending that guy. That guy was just, reasonable facts. He wasn't even a reasonable facts. He was a poser. DJ. As somebody who did it for, I don't know how many years, 12, you sort of kind of learn how to run a board. You sort of kind of learn. Brandon in California.
Oh, hey, Randy, how you doing?
Good.
Great show. Man, that other guy. Well, I don't. Anyway, so what really peeved me earlier was the right-wing commentary reaction to Tim Walsh's son crying. They had that little moment during his speech, if you recall.
Yeah, it was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, and he had. Oh God, I'm just so angry at people like Ann Coulter calling him a little baby. And, this is a 17-year-old kid.
He also has a learning disability. He has several disabilities. He's a disabled kid who is a genius. Okay, he's got this gift. Okay, but why was he mocked and Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Good point.
Yeah, very good point.
All right. Thanks, Randy.
You're welcome. Does Kyle Rittenhouse have a learning disability? No, he had a gun. That makes him good.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
You're not going to believe this, okay? You're really not. Barbara in South Carolina.
Hi. I'm calling about, I heard something on from Fox News saying.
Why do you watch that?
Comer were talking, and they were.
Why do you watch that?
I don't. It just happened to pop up on my phone, and it was saying that Tim Walz was being groomed by China, that he taught in China. Can you speak on that, or
speak on that?
About that?
About 30 years ago, he taught for 1 year English in China.
Okay.
All right. I don't know how to say your name. L.A., hello.
X.
Go.
X.
Go.
Oh, hey, Randy. You know what? California saving the best for last. That was just wonderful. Now the Kendrick Lamar. Have you heard that song?
Yeah.
Not Like Us.
Yes.
Have you heard it?
Yes. And I heard it while Gavin Newsom was trying to cast the 4,920.
No. Have you actually listened to it though?
Yes. Why? Why?
Oh, because there's a story behind it.
So?
Because what happened is because that Not Like Us was really meant for another rapper, but Tupac went to Oakland, so Kamala, she knows that. So it was meant to be like that.
Kamala did.
It was meant to be loud.
I don't know what your point is.
Well, I think because I know you mentioned something about the music, and I think
the
maybe
music.
You should just listen to it.
DJ wouldn't pot down.
He was good.
He was terrible.
What?
Terrible.
Well, okay. Well, and
I can't
Happy
tell you
Friday,
how many
real quick.
delegations were saying, I can't hear, because he didn't turn it down so that they could cast their votes. And that's their moment.
Understood.
It's what the delegates live for. Okay? You don't just become a delegate. You have to work for the party, and you have to be selected and voted for. And they go to the convention, and they can't even hear themselves think because it's their turn at the mic, and the DJ isn't copacetic. He's not in sync with them.
Well, if it was like that, then it would be like an RNC.
No, it wouldn't be like the RNC. They don't have any music. Okay, they have Lee Greenwood, who can't sing, and they have what's his face, greasy blonde guy, Lori in Arizona.
Hi. Hello, Randy.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just calling about. You were talking about the lies earlier on. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. You were talking about the lies, how they're spreading and that. And I just wanted to mention a couple things. When I was at the store, I live in Phoenix, and they're having their smoke and mirror shows here today. But when I was at the grocery store, oh gosh, probably a month ago, and I get approached by somebody to sign some petitions, which they do often. But anyways, I asked him what it was about, and he said it was to keep child molesters in prison. And so I said, what? I looked at it, and it was to get Cornel West and RFK on the ballot. And they're just lying. They just were lying.
What does Cornel West have to do with RFK?
They had two petitions.
Oh, I see. Separate.
Cornel West was on the top. And he said, and there's one underneath.
There were two separate ones. One was to get Cornel on the ballot.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said, that's a damn lie. They're not going to do anything. I said, I'm voting for Kamala. I'm not signing it. anyway, he kind of just he shut up and went away. But also, the way they are here, there's a lot of RFK people, but I think they're just trying to take away Democrats is what they're trying to do, and from voting for Kamala. But there's a neighbor here. We have a neighbor, or what's it called? Not Block Watch, the Neighborhood Watch thing. It's an app.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's been a conversation on ours lately. There's this house, and they live like right by an intersection, but their backyard, the back fence faces the busy street, and he has Democrats for Trump written big, painted really large on his back fence. And there's a database you can look at to find out, in each house, if, how they're registered.
What?
It doesn't tell you who you can see on the database, where it's Democrat.
What are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah, you can, because the election people keep all that, because then they know where. It doesn't tell you who they voted for, but they'll just tell you who, if somebody lives in that house, and how they're registered.
What can I help you with?
These people are Republicans. They're not Democrats. They lie. Is what I was just going to tell you. I mean, they're really, I don't know. They're out fast and furious.
So here's the thing. You need to stop worrying about, who's doing what to whom, and just make sure that you and 10 of your friends show up and vote on November 5th, period. End of story. Stop looking at databases and tracking your neighbors, or, signing petitions at grocery stores, especially in Arizona, where Gabby Giffords was shot in the freaking face. I mean, I can't even believe that there's still like politics in the supermarket shopping center there. That's just bizarre. Oh, you're in Arizona too, Chris.
Hi, Randy. Oh my God, I get all of this parade. Oh my God.
What?
Of these callers. I'm sorry. I don't want to be the. I'm just thinking ahead for the debate. When he calls her a Marxist, she needs to ask him, Donald, can you define Marxism? Can you define
She's not going to do that. She's not going to say, can you define anything?
I'm just hoping. But she's got to ask for examples. They've got to ask for...
She's not going to play his game. She's going to play chess. Five, whatever they call it. And they're going to play...
5 moves ahead.
What is it?
5 moves ahead. She's going to be three-dimensional chess.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
I get it.
Yes.
I get it. I'm just I'm very happy. This has been a great convention. Super optimistic and hoping for Arizona. And Gabby Giffords, man, I was bawling. What a tragedy.
It's not a tragedy. It's a success story. I mean, she is amazeballs. I couldn't believe her. The spirit that lives inside that woman is just She's indefeatable. She's undeterrable. She is an amazing person to talk about gun and gun violence. I'll tell you, that's another thing, was the whole section on gun violence. The Republicans are always talking about, they'll give out the name of a girl who was harmed by an illegal, which is very, it doesn't happen often, but they'll mention her name and, they'll say, oh, what about, but, you got Gabby Giffords, you got all the Parkland families, you got the Sandy Hook parents, you got the Sandy Hook teachers, the King Soopers victims, the Las Vegas victims from the shooter there. You got the Charlottesville wasn't just, Jews will not replace us. Oh, yes, we will. Jews will not replace us, but they also killed Heather Heyer, right? They killed a person. You have the Uvalde parents last night. I mean, it's an amazing group of people who are so brave and so committed to getting these assault weapons out of the hands of people who would, go into a school and take the lot. And that whole Uvalde story, oh my God, how they just wouldn't go into that school because the assault weapon is a weapon of war. And they were afraid of it, the police. And they just stayed outside. Same thing in Parkland. The Parkland guy, he stood outside the school. He didn't want to go in there because it was an assault weapon. I mean, the choice is so stark. It is so the contrast is a bright line between moving forward and moving backward, between keeping us safe and saying, oh, well, it's the price you pay. You could send your kids to school and they could come home dead. It's the price you pay for freedom. Their version of freedom has nothing to do with freedom. Their version of freedom has everything to do with enriching gun manufacturers. It has nothing to do with your kids. They don't care about your family. They don't care about their own family. Their own families didn't even show up for them. Please spare me this, conversation. But yeah, September 10th, that'll be, that'll be really a hoot. That's going to be a debate for the century, truly, because she is seriously skilled, and he is a lying sack of bumbling crap. Now, I'm going to be off next week. I need a week. You hear the phone calls. You see what's going on. I got to take a break. And then we'll come back, and we'll be back the day after Labor Day. You know what that day is? That is the day that the election officially begins. Yes, the day after Labor Day. People will start early voting just weeks from then. Have a good one.